This week's Wookie Drives comes courtesy of Hoogie's Imports in Concord, North Carolina. Hoogie is a small importer of JDM cars in the Charlotte area. And this Subaru Vivio is one of 2 cars he recently had for sale. I will link his Facebook page in the description of the video. And now, let's get to this week's video. Yes. If you thought what Subaru was doing in the American market for much of the early 90s landed towards weird, you haven't had a chance to check out any of their JDM models. Like many Japanese brands pre-bubble economy burstin', Subaru was going hog wild, and their key car offering of the 90s, the Vivio, was no exception. I've talked about Japanese key cars before with the Honda Acti in episode 59. To keep it short, key cars are tiny little cars, trucks, and vans native to Japan, and enjoy massive tax and insurance benefits over normal-sized cars, as well as being exempt from park and space ownership requirements in rural areas due to their small size. To allow this, the Japanese government has maximum car dimensions, length, width, and height, a maximum engine size of 660 cc's, and a maximum engine output of 63 horsepower. Most key cars are either little hatches, vans, and trucks. But, and especially during the early 90s, during the bubble economy, you saw other body styles come about. And the Subaru Vivio is no exception. The Vivio name is derived from a couple of sources. Primarily, it comes from the Roman numerals 6, 6, and 0, which translates to 660 because displacement. It is also claimed to be derived from the word vivid, so you get a cute name that you can explain to all your cars and coffee friends when they ask you what the heck Vivio stands for. Replacing the Rex, the base Vivio was a normal 5 or 3-door hatchback. But Subaru in their infinite weirdness decided to offer a sporty version of the Vivio to compete with other key sports cars such as the Suzuki Cappuccino and AutoZam AZ1, and to help celebrate Subaru's 40th anniversary. But while those would essentially be shrunken down versions of what one would think of a sports car, the Subaru Vivio T-top is so much weirder. The T-top is classified as a 2-door Targa. And yes, it is essentially the closest thing I could describe to as being a shrunken down Honda Civic Del Sol. But even then, the Vivio T-top cranks up the weird. While the Del Sol is the traditional Targa with a single panel, the Vivio T-top has T-tops, and unlike most T-tops where it's 2 halves that meet in the middle, the Vivio T-tops are divided into thirds. Oh, but would you like even more open airness? Hit this button on the dash and the rear window folds down and you end up with dang near an entire convertible. Subaru called this a multi-top, which I guess because there's multiple components to the roof. And look at those seats. I haven't been this dazzled by this fun of a seat material since my Suzuki X90 review. Speaking of which, I think this X90 is probably closer than a Del Sol to what the Vivio T-top reminds me of most design-wise, with its jelly bean aesthetics matched with the roll hoop. Oh, what a fantastically weird car, even beyond the weird roof. Upon first look of the rear, it appears the Vivio T-top has a heck blend. You know, a design feature that was very popular in the 80s and 90s where the space between the 2 taillights was filled with the same red lens material so it looked like you had one giant taillight in the rear, but the center was just for show and doesn't actually light up. No, the Vivio takes it one step further from a heck blend and instead it pretends to be a heck blend by the use of a sticker. At least it's a cool sticker. Sticking with the rear, you look at the trunk lid and you can see where the mounting points for what's supposed to be a luggage rack, like an old-timey sports car. With the T-top's limited interior space and tiny trunk, Subaru included a luggage rack, which is a neat little feature you don't typically see often on modern cars. Unfortunately, a previous owner had removed it. Inside the trunk, you actually get a full-size spare tire, which isn't hard considered that the Vivio already has tiny tires and wheels, but the spare wheel is painted this tan instead of white like the regular wheels. I guess so you can tell which one's the spare wheel when it's installed. Even the cute little mud flaps have the Vivio logo on them, which is a nice touch. Moving to the doors, you get these T-top specific badges on either door that's larger than the actual Vivio badge on the hood. Heck, I don't think there's even a Subaru badge on this thing because JDM Car, they like to promote the models instead of the brand itself. Inside, your eyes are immediately drawn to the previously mentioned shouty seats. There are rear seats, but I doubt anybody of any size can actually sit back there, especially with the rear window up. But there is a swatch-like clock in the center of the desk, which wasn't functioning at the time of filming, but was a neat little detail. The only other thing that I could think of that stood out to me in the interior is the glove box. Inside, there's a nifty little basket area for your important documents, so you don't have to dig for them when you load the glove box with stuff like tissues and sunscreen. Under the hood of this 1994 Subaru Vivio T-top is the 658cc EN07 Clover 4-cylinder, producing just 51 horsepower and 40 foot-pounds of torque. Opting for the Vivio T-top GXT slaps a supercharger on that Clover 4, which bumps the power to 63 horsepower and 62 foot-pounds of torque. However, you could only get the Vivio T-top GXT with the eCVT transmission, which weren't known for their reliability and driving dynamics. This is why Mark went for a normal Vivio T-top, so he can get one with the 5-speed manual. On top of it being much more reliable, it actually provides a much improved driving experience over what that ancient CVT could muster. Power, of course, is sent to the front wheels, and the wheels are suspended via McPherson struts. At the time of filming in this 1994 Subaru Vivio T-top being listed for sale, it had 129,708 kilometers on the odometer, which translates to 80,597 miles in freedom units. It's clean and mechanically sound, but it's also well used with its scratches and imperfect paint. The Vivio branded floor mats are worn, especially the driver's side, where you can barely make out the Vivio logos, as well as the driver's side seat bolster and being beat up from owners falling into the seat for almost 20 years. The original radio has been swapped for a Kenworth one along the way, and the JDM toll card reader still powers up and talks to you every time you start the car. The AC still works, which is a plus in the summer heat. It did briefly overheat just a tad after idling after 10 minutes during filming, but the rest of the shoot went by great, so may have just been an issue with no airflow going through the tiny radiator and the tiny fan just not keeping up. We did top the water off with some Dasani, so no more problems the rest of the day, and away we went. So, behind the wheel. I am 6 foot 3 inches tall and fat. I barely fit in this thing, but I still managed to get in and drive. I will say it's surprisingly more comfy for my fat butt over an NB Miata. I could at least comfortably shift and operate the pedals without cramping my leg. The pedal area, however, is small enough that I had to remove my size 15 canoes so I could safely use the pedals without trying to take a screenshot. At least I can get behind the wheel and operate this automobile. Probably just a tad too small for me to sit in comfortably and live with. With my size, I'd probably go with a key van or truck, personally. But if you're smaller than me, by all means, go for the Vivio T-top. Behind the wheel, despite the lack of power, the Clover 4-cylinder is at least zippy. It likes to rev for sure. The biggest thing holding this car back at the time of filming is the shifter bushings were worn. It just felt sloppy like an old pick-em-up truck, especially with the tall shifter. Third gear was the one I struggled with the most. It felt like it was just slightly left from center, so second to third often led to second to fifth and confusion. Mark said that he had to get used to it after a little bit of driving, and he's fairly certain that some new shifter bushings would fix the slushiness of the shifter. He sold a JDM Subaru Legacy with a similarly fill-in shifter last year, and after replacing the bushings in that car, it actually fixed it, so that's most likely the culprit here. But behind the wheel and around town, the Subaru Vivio T-top is a fantastic little romp. This car is made for small town / city driving. On the open road, sure, a key car like this looks like the absolute wrong choice. But even in Japan, these cars aren't meant for highways. If you live in the suburbs or in town, a car like this Vivio is a great summer vehicle. Also, this is a JDM car that'll absolutely get people asking you what the heck it is. We were getting stopped constantly a couple times in front of the Carolina Mall parking lot during the shoot because people saw this thing from across the parking lot and absolutely had to find out what it was. Definitely a car for those looking to be the belle of any cars and coffees you go to. Overall, the 1994 Subaru Vivio T-top is the perfect encapsulation of Japan's early 90s bubble economy car market. It's a weird addition to an otherwise normal kei car lineup of small hatches. Sure, the regular Vivio hatch was also available in rally-inspired hot varieties with the RXR and the RXA, where Colin McRae would make his Safari Rally debut in such a Vivio for Subaru. And a retro-styled one inspired by the original Mini and the success of Nissan's Pike cars such as the Pau and Figaro, known as the Subaru Bistro. The Vivio would continue until 1998, where it was replaced with the Pleo. Unfortunately, the Pleo would not feature any open, weird air versions like the Vivio, leaving such a car in the 90s with its bubble economy weirdness. But the Subaru Vivio T-top is a snapshot to a crazy time in the Japanese car market. It is a perfect little car to drive around town on a hot summer day. 1994 Subaru Vivio T-top, a wonderfully weird, wonderfully small car. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. Once again, huge shout out to Mark at Hookie's Imports for letting me drive his latest addition to his fleet. Once again, I will share his Instagram and Facebook page in the description of this video and flash it on screen now. At the time of recording, this car is still for sale, so hopefully it's still for sale when this video launches, but if not, he will have some more wonderful, weird JDM cars soon. And yeah, you may see more of his fleet on the channel. If you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show and happen to be in the Charlotte or Mooresville, North Carolina area, email me a submission of your car at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That's right, submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com. Once again, that's wookiedrives@gmail.com. Don't forget to give the video a like, drop a comment with some feedback. Any sort of interaction in the comments really helps small channels like mine grow in the algorithm. Share with all your Subaru Vivio T-top friends. And finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more Wookie Drives like these. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.
エアバッグと CD プレイヤー ABCD の Vivio 好評です。おっほん、こちら Vivio のビストロもなかなかですぞ。週末はスバルへ。